Can it be? It's week 16 away from home 50 years ago for me. Wow. January 28th to February 6, 1971. I basically enjoyed it on the Kibbutz in Israel in the Upper Galilee. 1 February 1971, Monday, Kibbutz. 1 month of another year gone like a flash. I'm getting more frequent pangs of my past life lately. It seems to run in cycles. I write a letter home and another one. I must be nuts. I've got so many letters to write still. This place is flipping me out. I wonder how long I'll stay here. I don't know why I still feel this rush to get home and get back into it. I'll be 23 years old this summer. Time. Behind me is the picture of myself and my nephew JJ after I returned home from my travels. The reason I'm using it is because we can't find any photographs of me with my wild red hair in those days. And this is about as close as I could come. So the fun thing is I can kind of stuff myself in and go, oh, look at there I am with my red hair. Of course, one of the funny things about it is that I can't find the knotted knot of my hair, but here it is. I actually have a knotted piece of that hair of mine. It's funny, it didn't turn gray like the rest of it. This week, I take a couple of days off and I make my first sojourn to Jerusalem. Behind me is a photograph that actually my friend Jim Camper sent to me. And some of these photos I'm going to use as a backdrop to help show the way it was. And I just think it's more fun that they're actual photographs that are part of my lore. One of the things that happened to me this week here in the present day, 50 years later, is I found my passport. It had been missing to me for about a year. I knew I had it somewhere and I thought it was in the office somewhere, and I found it with the photograph that's behind me. Now, this is a great memento to me. I'm a kind of a pack rat, and this thing is quite phenomenal. It even has full-page visas in it, and it has a page that pulls out. You don't see that very often. Anyway, that was a great memento for me, and I was happy to find it. But I did go to Jerusalem, and it was my first exposure to the old city. And it was very exciting, and I wandered about, and it interests me that I did not mention the specifics of it in my journal. I will return to Jerusalem later, and it was really fun and a great experience. But in the meantime, I'm back to the kibbutz to go to work again. You're looking at the old city of Jerusalem, nestled inside of the larger current city. Here's a route that one would take to get to Jerusalem from the kibbutz, because it goes around the West Bank. Clyde the camel and the petting zoo becomes a big thing for us, me and the volunteers. We don't have that much to do with them. There's no TV. And we go over there and hang out. And here I am, again, a photo provided to me by somebody, I don't even know who, of me jumping on the back of Clyde the camel. Clyde was a great guy. And there was also a lamb over there that bounced around and a goat. And it was a lot of fun. And we just go over there and hang out. But the camel, oh my God. So the big thing with the camel was that he was kind of a hilarious camel that had this beautiful blonde fur, because he wasn't used like most camels are. But he had this habit. I don't know if it's every camel, because I haven't gotten to know that many camels. I got to be honest, even though I've seen it, quite a few of them. He would stick his tongue out at us and go, and would spit all over the place. And we'd have camel spit all over us. I mean, he'd go, and that was a lot of fun, and we would laugh about it, but it was kind of stinky and you have to go wash off. So 50 years ago, it was yesterday, me and my two usual companions Jim Camper, and another 18-year-old from New York, David, went to visit Clyde the camel, and we decided to mount him. I got on first. It was really fantastic. He seemed to dig it. I don't think he's really broken in. We all got on. What a trip. The story is that Clyde was found on the desert, and he was brought back to keep company with a lovely lamb that bounced around, a super cute goat, and a few other animals, and some corrals they keep together for the tourists and for the community. It's fantastic as Clyde bubbles out his blown up tongue at me in a splash of camel spit. This was the week of the epic basketball game where the volunteers played against the Kibbutznics. They had some big guys, these Kibbutznics, and they played basketball a lot. They had a very nice basketball setup. It was outdoors. It was all asphalt, had fences on either end of it, but it was full court, and we played them. And I write in my journal, Saturday night, we had an amazingly brutal basketball game against the Kibbutz team. The All-Americans won it 100-98 after being far behind. It was a victory from sheer brutality. It was really a hard-fought game that had many comical aspects. People throwing each other around, etc. One of the big Israelis kept saying, "Fuck your mother," in response to us calling them motherfuckers. It was quite funny. He was so angry, we just kept laughing at him. Yesterday was spent in the grapefruit orchards with the sun shining and a wisp of grapefruit in the air. We laid out in the sun for 1.5 hours on a crate of grapefruits that we had picked. Yeah, these grapefruits were like a huge part of the whole economy, but it was also a big part of the culture because if you wanted a grapefruit, you'd grab one up whenever you wanted. In fact, ultimately, when I leave the kibbutz and I've got my backpack, I walk off with about 5 or 6 of these sweet red grapefruits. And as you'll see, they help me survive out in the Negev desert and out on my way to Eilat. This week, I also went down to Nazareth. The other day, I write, tried to get some shit, dug the streets that Jesus walked and some churches. It really wasn't much. It was, believe it or not, an Arab Christian town, 30,000 residents, and retains itself as a Christian city to this day. And it was kind of a mud town. Not a big deal. This is the town of Nazareth, and the route from Nazareth to the kibbutz I was staying on. As you can see, Nazareth is up, and again, the Sea of Galilee is down. Ayelet HaShachar on the north. These are quiet, introspective times for me in the evenings, especially. And I was reading the trilogy by Tolkien. Somebody had the book. There was kind of a library and books kind of wandered around. And I did basically read it while I was in these weeks in the kibbutz. And I was getting entranced by it and enhanced by it. And of course, ultimately, it became these incredible movies. And at this time, it was kind of just sort of a hippie thing. It was part of the culture. But I enjoyed it. I really miss my family, though. And here's an aerogram that I sent. You can see the Israeli stamp, the return address. And that was a big deal to me to get a letter and to send a letter. The kibbutz is a respite for me. It's a break in the game. And after being on the road for 4 months, it was a wonderful lyrical experience. Behind me is actually one of the letters that I hand wrote. This place is really strange. The days just flow together and I eat grapefruits and sunflower seeds all the time. But the place is beautiful, and it's so green and rolling. I'm getting very fat here. My pants are very tight, but that will change when I hit the road again. So here we go. I'm starting to think about, hey, you know what? This is great and everything. It's a good break, but hey, this is not what I came here for, was to be hanging around in Disneyland here, or whatever this fantasy land was I was living in. So now I start to write. This is to my family. I'm thinking ahead. I'm going to go down to Eilat. What about the real kahuna? I'm thinking about going across Asia to India and Kathmandu. And I've got, of course, the magical instructions that I had received from my friend Larry Glazer. I'm carrying with me and thinking, maybe I'll get back to Istanbul and follow the golden tablet. Well, really not a golden tablet, but a treasure map of sorts. It was the step-by-step way that I would get from Istanbul all the way to Kathmandu, Nepal, which of course was to me the ultimate goal of the hippie trail. And as we will see as the story unfolds, I basically followed it. I found my way from place to place, visa to visa, and found my discounts as well to get me all the way ultimately across the continent of Asia to Kathmandu. Next week is week 17. And it's again Stevie Wander in Paradise, the Kibbutz, the lovely lyrical life. The movie Yellow Submarine is brought to the Kibbutz. Stevie gets to experience some of the culture that he's missed so badly. And he will continue on with his adventures. He will go across the road to see the dig, the tell, go down into the tunnels where the water came from, and otherwise just enjoy a lyrical time on his days off the road, waiting to get back on the road and thinking ahead.
I need to start making plans to move on from here. If I stay too long, I will stagnate, become too mellow, and rot. By the end of February, I need to move on, perhaps southern Israel at the Red Sea to Eilat, where I am told it is much warmer. I'm trying to understand the human gig and my place in it. With all this self-introspection, I've recently come to think of myself as a cold, unaffectionate person. I'm a real hard guy. Why am I this way? It's like I'm afraid to be affectionate and caring to other people. Actually, I don't know if I want to. I enjoy the cocoon I make for myself at times. I know I need to eventually open up and be more friendly to others. Not that I'm not friendly, I just know I can put out a better version of myself every day. Continual self-improvement is essential to get the most out of life. I'm a living, breathing being that is a whole system, and within me is the essence of all things. I am a whole microsystem within the larger macro system. I have a sick day today, just not feeling right. I'm lying in bed, the Lord of the Rings, all day. A new couple has arrived recently, Big Al from Toronto and his girlfriend Polly from Detroit. She's a cute, perky blonde, and we know many of the same places back in our home state of Michigan. Big Al is a tall, wiry, thin guy with wild, curly brown hair that extends halfway down his back. Al and Polly are true hippie freaks like me. It is relatively common for a couple, married or otherwise, to come to the kibbutz together as volunteers. There are many pairs here, including just groups of friends from various countries. But there are also many who come alone, just like me.